You know, the dehumanization of men has gotten to a point where we don't even really notice it anymore.
Interesting.
Like,
How are men dehumanized?
men, I feel like are expected, maybe not expected is the right word, but just kind of thought of as being like these emotionless, like just constantly always thinking about sex and power and all these things. And it's like the men that I know and that I have relationships with are a lot more complicated than that. And
Mm.
I think that the kind of the worst of what we assume of each other gets gets projected onto these kind of social media conversations, and I think that it just it's like a race to the bottom of like how quickly we can just dismiss each other. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm. So who dehumanized men? Who did that to men?
Well, and that's an interesting question because I think that the uh, the question of who did it, obviously it's easy to say, oh well, men created this system, so men are the ones who should bear the responsibility, and I agree with that to a certain extent. But I also, just in my personal life, like I know a lot of women who are very much kind of in the bag for the patriarchy, right? Like
Mm.
I know lots of, especially elderly women,
Yeah.
who really hate seeing women in power and who really hate to see women in their power, even in their personal lives. So I think that all of us have work to do to kind of dismantle this patriarchal system that has allowed us to dehumanize each other on both sides. You know what I mean?
I mean, I do know that there are women who have internalized misogyny, but I asked specifically who started the or who created the the society that dehumanizes men the way that people do. That's what I want to know. And who dehumanizes men the most would be my next question.
Women.
Women dehumanize men. Okay, I'm gonna let Alex answer too, and then we'll open it up for both of y'all to have the discussion.
Well, and see, I don't even know if it's that simple because I think that in general, if you were just to say, okay, who's dehumanizing men, I think that it's anybody who subscribes to the patriarchy,
Who created the
right?
patriarchy?
Are you asking about like individual people?
No, I'm saying what group of people created the patriarchy?
So were there no women that were involved in like the establishment of the patriarchy?
No, that's like saying there was black people involved in the establishment of racism.
Were there not though?
No, that's a weird question. No,
So there were
There actually
no
was, bro.
black slave owners in the
The,
South.
the first
that's
slave
not.
owner was black.
Racism was created before slaves even touched down in America. So both of y'all don't know what y'all talking about already. I said
Slaves
racism.
been in America, bro. If you want to do a
Racism
history
has
lesson, we
existed
can
way
do that.
longer than whiteness has existed.
No, it hasn't. The concept of race was invented like 500-600 years ago. What are you talking about? In Portugal.
When did we have
We
a universal concept of whiteness?
Probably, I don't know, 200-300. Whiteness, yeah, around that time. Universal, I don't know. That happened later. Universally, it happened like in the late 18, around the industrialization of America. But before that, whiteness was invented, like I said, about 600 years ago or so. So race was invented about 600 years ago. well
I
before slaves were in America. Well
So
before.
you
just to
honestly
address the
believe
comments, I didn't
they
bring
brought
up
all us
race.
niggas on boats? Y'all niggas crazy, bro.
Well,
We been here,
Burberry.
bro.
Hold on.
We didn't
Burberry,
get brought.
hold on. Wait. I don't. I'm not here. Don't derail the conversation. I don't care about y'all YouTube, fucking knowledge base, conspiracy theories about slaves being in America.
Bro,
Don't care about it at
you
all.
lost. You
Hold
lost.
on. I got you. So my question is, so getting back on topic, no, black people weren't there for the invention of race, just like women weren't there for the invention of the patriarchy. And the
Bro,
patriarchy.
we are the original people,
Burberry,
bro.
please
Nothing
be
happened with
quiet. Burberry, seriously. Can you be? No, I'm dead serious. Can you be quiet, or do I have to drop you? Because I don't know why you can't just be quiet while I'm talking. Is that too much to ask for?
I'll be quiet. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Stop
So,
stop spreading lies.
okay, man, I got you. So, anyways, yeah. So when men invented the patriarchy, and I think that it's very disingenuous, Alex, for you to try to act like women had a role in it to keep blaming women when you know that men created it. You're just trying to find a way to blame women. Like, weren't women involved, but why?
Hold on. I'm not trying to put it squarely on women.
I know you
I'm
want.
trying.
No. I know what you're trying to do. I know exactly what you're trying to do. That's what I'm saying. I didn't say you're trying to blame women for everything, but you're trying to make them culpable as well as to deflect and act like, oh, you're just doing you're all lives mattering the situation, right? Like, oh
Okay,
yeah,
that's not
women
my
are part of the
intention.
problem too. But like, what? Like, how is that? That doesn't make any sense.
That's absolutely not my intention. So
Okay,
if that's what it came off as, then I apologize.
it's okay. So, what is your intention? What is the point of you trying to say women had a hand in building the patriarchy?
Ultimately, my point with bringing up the dehumanization of men is to say that I don't think that that is a good approach in the long term for establishing a basis of mutual respect and ultimately love between men and women, right?
Hold on. Hold on. I gotta. I'm gonna log out real quick because they said the live is frozen. Give me 1 second. Okay, we back. Okay, repeat that statement again. I'm sorry.
Okay. So the point that I ultimately am trying to make is that with all of these back and forths with like this whole gender war that we're doing on social media, not just you and me, but like everybody.
In general, yeah.
The my whole point is I agree that women have been dehumanized by men systematically for hundreds of years, and men as well, by the same patriarchal system. I'm saying if we want to have a different basis for relating to one another, then we have to reject all dehumanization. We can't just say, oh, because men have dehumanized women, now it's okay to dehumanize men so that they know how it feels, or because, we need to even the playing field or something. It seems like.
But women don't do that though. That's the point. Like that's not a problem that women have. Women don't have a problem not dehumanizing men. See what I'm saying? Most
Right,
women.
but that's my argument, is that I believe that they are.
I know, but based on what?
Well, based on, I'm reading these comments, like one woman said just now, men are incapable of loving.
That's not. I mean, there's more proof that men are incapable of. You see what I'm saying? Like I know that sounds crazy to you, but like that's like there's more proof. You have to convince. Here's what I'm saying. Men have to convince women that we are humans at this point, because there's so much proof to point to that we actually aren't humans. You know what I'm
Okay,
saying?
but inside yourself, are you saying that you're
No,
not sure if you're capable of love?
that's not. I'm not. It's not a personal question for me. It's about the group as a whole. See what I'm saying? So I'm not asking this about you personally or me personally or Burberry or whoever personally. I'm saying that men as a group have not really shown that we love anybody or anything outside of ourselves. Right?
I mean, in general, there's lots of examples of men being dismissive and not taking care of their families and doing all that. But there's, okay, they're saying let the other guest speak.
Hold on,
I'm
we
not the
got
only
it. I'm
one
gonna let Burberry, you could
preventing
go. I wanted you
Burberry
to
from
finish,
speaking.
Alex. I wanted you to finish, but I got it. It's saying that the live is glitching. I guess I'm gonna have to end the live again. I don't know what's going on. TikTok is this shit is crazy. TikTok really be hating. Um, yeah, just give me 1 second. Let me. Oh, they said it's not okay. Okay. So, Alex. So you can finish. So I think that it's I
Because
think that.
look, I love the women in my life and I want to have good relationships with them.
Okay.
But it hurts me, just being honest, to be put in that same category. And I understand that I have to do the work to explain, to show, to demonstrate that I'm not like that. But it just is, you know, hurtful at a certain level to be lumped in with uh, with that other group of guys.
Why would that hurt you? If you cared about the women in your life, why would you wouldn't their protection be more important than your feelings?
It is, but that doesn't mean my feelings don't exist.
I'm not saying they don't. I'm just asking why would that hurt you?
So, but it's this weird all or nothing thing where if I have to pretend that my feelings don't exist in order for this conversation to move forward.
That's not I'm a man too. We're both men. Women lump me in the same group as they lump you in, as they lump everybody else in. I'm trying to figure out where's the disconnect because I don't get offended by that one bit. Because once again, I understand that their protection is more important than my feelings. So I don't feel it's a real easy no-brainer to me. And I also know how it works because my mother doesn't feel that way about me, and my sister doesn't feel that way about me, and my wife doesn't feel that way about me. So I know the women, I know that on an individual basis, right? Case by case, I know that the women in my life don't feel that way about me personally because I've shown them that I am whatever person that they view me to be, right? So why do I care about some nondescript, some random person, woman lumping me in with all other men if that's the thing that they have to do to protect themselves? You see what I'm saying? Like that's the safer option for them, rather than being like, let me see if Alex is one of the bad ones when the vast majority of men are one of the bad ones. You see what I'm saying? Like, so why wouldn't I just be like, oh, I totally understand. I totally understand why you would lump me in with all the other men and keep protecting yourself, sister. I appreciate that. I respect that. That's how I view it. You don't view it like that?
No, I absolutely would bet every dollar I have that every woman in my life would say the exact same thing.
Okay, then there you
That,
go.
but that doesn't mean that when we have conversations in the abstract about men, and when people say things like men are fundamentally evil and incapable of loving another person, that that doesn't make me feel some type of way.
It should make you feel some type of way about men, not women. I don't feel any type of way about that comment from them. I'm like, damn, man, yeah, men really been messing up. Like I completely
Right.
understand why you would feel
And
like
that's exactly
that.
the feeling that I have. But then I look around and I go, what's the solution? And the solution seems to be to just go away. Like it, I don't know.
Really? You can't think of any other solution other than go away because when you say just go away, then you literally prove their point because they say men are incapable of love, and you go, okay, then I should just go away. Why? Because you can't love? Because if you could love, why wouldn't you stay? If you
No,
if
because
you
I
aren't the person
genuinely
they're
have.
saying, you see what I'm saying? If you aren't the person that they're saying you are, right? And you're like, cool, I'm not that person. I'll show you, I'll be better, right? Like that should be your response. But instead your response is, well, I'll just go away. Then that means you are the person that they think you are. Like I don't understand. Like it's super easy.
No, because I've tried to ask what like what needs to change in order for me to be able to, and this is not a problem once somebody meets me, right? Like once we have a conversation, but it's when I'm first being introduced to somebody
Mm.
and there's just this barrier that we have to get through, right? Like we would both agree that it's bullshit if a man meets a woman and he says, "Oh, well, she has to prove that she's not this, this, and this before I can have a conversation with her." Like,
What
and I understand
be specific. She has to prove what?
she's like, if he's gonna open up to her, that
Hmm.
she's not gonna, use that against him, right?
Hmm.
So
So
there's
what's
trust that
wrong?
goes both ways, right?
So, but you don't. Do you understand the concept of equity?
Sure.
Okay. So what is equity?
Equity is, well, as opposed to equality being just everybody getting exactly the same,
Yeah.
it would be getting
What you need.
enough
Yeah.
to bring
What
everybody to the same spot.
yeah, and getting what you deserve, right? To be on the same level as everybody else. Okay. So
Okay, you know what? Here, let me interrupt you
mm,
because I genuinely, I'm look, all I know is what I know.
mm,
So apparently, based on the comments, I'm just
you should stop
the
reading the
problem.
comments. You should stop reading
So
the comments.
let
Because
me
I
just be quiet,
no no no
and
no no
you
no
can
no.
just tell me why I'm wrong.
Well, wait. First of all, stop reading the comments because you and me are having a conversation. And so I don't. When people read and talk at the same time, I think it to be. I view it as being rude. I'm not reading the comments. I'm just talking to you. But secondly, yeah. But okay. But what? So back to my point when it comes down to equity, right? So what you're describing is equality. You're describing. You're just saying like men and women. Like is it fair for a man to ask a woman to prove X, Y, and Z? Basically, the way that women ask men to prove X, Y, and Z. And my answer would be no, because it's not equitable. Because what have women done to men historically to deserve that treatment? Like as a group, what have women done to men? What name a policy, name an institution that women have started, name, anything that women are behind and control that hurt men. Anything. If you can name one thing that women are behind, that women run, that women set up, that it's their system, I'm not saying that it's all women involved in it now, but it's just like something that a woman has started, then okay, right? Then we can have that discussion. But there's not. You know what I'm saying? Fortunately for our conversation, there's not. There's nothing. We don't have anything to point to. But with
I agree
me,
with you.
we have example after example after example after example, and not just slavery days and not just Jim Crow days and not like literally yesterday. Tomorrow there's going to be a new example. In every household right now, there's a new example of the same thing happening over and over and over and over again. Right? So that's what I'm saying. Like that's why it's not fair, it's not equitable to ask the same things of women as men as women ask of men, right? Because we're not are we as vulnerable as women are? Like I'm saying, like if we're in close proximity to a woman, are we just as vulnerable? Is our safety just is our safety a concern just as much as it is when a woman is in close proximity to any man, even her own father?
No, of course not. But I'm not. That's not the point I'm making. The point that I'm trying to make is very specific. Is if we are trying to have progress with respect to the way that the genders are relating to each other, we can't fight fire with fire.
I agree. But women aren't fighting fire with fire. The people who objectify men the most are men still. The people who see men as labor, as this, that's men who did that. Still, to this day, it's not women who do that. Women are the ones that humanize us. If we didn't have women to humanize us, we would never know what it felt like to be humanized.
I disagree with that.
Okay. Where are men humanizing other men? You tell me. In what way?
Okay, so I don't know what it means to humanize someone outside of the context of dehumanization.
So you know what it looks like to get dehumanized, but you don't know what it looks like to humanize a person?
Right, because the default when I talk to somebody is to treat them like a human being.
So I'll give you an example. Um, do who listens to one another more about their whatever, their life, their issues, their whoever they are, about their personhood, women or men? Like would you like who if you had a choice, right, between a man or it could be whoever, it could be people who what I'm saying, but a man or a
Mhm.
woman, who would you want to tell your story to in
Oh, a
hopes
man,
that
for sure.
to a man,
Yeah, for sure.
so the man will listen to you more and be more empathetic and things of that nature?
With my experience as a man, yeah.
Doubt it. You
It
want
is
to
odd.
you mean a man will coddle you more? Yeah, I agree. And never
This
hold
is
you
really
accountable.
strange that I'm telling you something from my personal experience and you're just telling me that I'm a liar.
I didn't say you're lying. I just think you don't. I think you're being. I think you don't understand the question. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not. I don't think you're being. I'm not going to assume you're being disingenuous. But like I said, you had something go wrong. Something bad happened to you. Let me be more clear. You're frustrated with whatever it is, and you need to talk to somebody about it. You're
Mhm.
saying that you like men would be like they are better suited for that. Like I don't.
Well, I'll give you an example. Like,
Okay, give me an
I,
example.
right now in my life, desperately wish that I had an older male that I
Mhm.
could talk to that shared my values, that wasn't going to try to explain my emotions back to me. Because when I talk to women, a lot of times they don't really listen. They just want to explain what they feel like is going on. And a lot of times what happens is
What does that look
like,
like?
well, like for instance, if you, I personally have been struggling lately with body image issues.
Mhm.
And so I thought, well, who would be able to relate to that?
Women.
And so I brought it to women,
Mhm.
and women made me feel fucking horrible about it
How did the conversation go?
because they were basically telling me, you know, you're a man, women don't care about looks that much anyway. Why are you so stressed about it? Get out of your feelings, basically.
Mhm.
Like,
And what
there's
do you think? And what do you think a man would have told you?
from the, I had a long conversation with my roommate who's a man,
Mhm.
and I felt way better after that conversation
What did he tell
because I
you?
was able to actually relate on a personal level. And he said, I've had a lot of the same struggles.
And
So
and what did he tell you?
he told me to, you know, just love myself more and be more confident in myself and not put my value in what other people are thinking of me.
So the women didn't say that. The man said that. The women told you get over it.
Correct.
Hmm. Interesting. Um, why were they bringing up women when you were talking about this? By the way, like,
Because in the context of like having body image issues and worrying about what the other sex was thinking of me, and
mhm.
just putting it more in the context of, you know, root your self-worth in something else. See, this is so funny. It's like I'm literally sharing my story, and I know you said don't read the comments, but people literally just don't want to believe it because it contradicts what they assume. And it's like women can be horrible too.
It can be. Yeah, I would say like in your particular case, but and I know women can be bad because women are people. You know what I'm saying? Um,
Exactly.
so that's not, I don't ever refute that. And I don't think anybody in here will refute that. I think though, when people say things that are the complete opposite of what the vast majority of us have experienced, it is a red flag. And I'm not saying you're lying, but it definitely is a red flag though.
What do you mean a red flag?
It definitely sounds inauthentic. You know what I'm saying? Like, because what you're describing is more what it would be reversed for me. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Like if I told my wife that, she would be like, oh damn, like she would be completely empathetic and like like the people who I would go to seek like empathy, right? Not when I want to get coddled, but because it's not coddling to be empathetic. But when I want empathy, I go to women because women are the ones who are more empathetic, right? They're the more nurturing of the group, so on and so forth.
Yeah,
So
that's what I thought too.
well, that's what it's not what you thought. It's see what I mean? Like it's like that is an objective truth, right? Like the vast majority of people would agree with that, and not because of their perception, but because of their real life lived experiences. So I would tell you to choose better female friends to talk to before I turned around and was on some like before I turned around and was like, yeah, women just ain't what I thought they were. Like I don't buy that for one bit. You see what I'm
Okay,
saying?
well,
Like that.
I'm not out here generalizing anybody.
I mean, we're having a general discussion about men and women though, so it's okay.
Right. But I'm trying as much as possible to when
Make it
I
about
am
yourself.
okay. Well, I mean, if you just want to insult me, then I can just leave.
No, I'm saying that's what you're doing. You're making it. You're saying like this is your experience. Like
What else
everything
do
you're
you
saying
want
is
me to
like
talk about?
anecdotal, right? That's what the fuck you. How's that an insult to you? That's literally what you're doing.
I don't know what else you want me to share other than my experiences
What you see objectively.
and
What you.
what I've experienced objectively is that when I go to women for support, they tell me you're a man, get over it. And when I go to men for support, they actually show support.
Okay. And that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that your experience isn't real. I'm saying it's rare. You understand what I'm saying? So you're
Mhm.
an outlier. You would be an outlier in this situation. I'm not discounting anything you're saying. Okay, cool. That's fucked up. That anybody would, men or women, who, you know what I mean? Like we all should be more empathetic and, and listen and all those things. But what you're describing is something that would not be typical. That would be harder to find. It would be harder to find, right? It's harder to find a woman that doesn't listen to a man than vice versa. It's harder to find a woman that a man or a man that listens to you and is empathetic and whatever than it is to find a woman that will do the same thing. That's what I'm saying, and that's what I think most of us are saying. So therefore, your story comes off as like you're an anomaly at this point. So you gotta understand that a lot of people aren't gonna believe you. That's just what it is, right? And I'm asking you, what I'm saying is do you think that we're all wrong about this? Like you know what I'm saying? Like, do you think that we really? Because the way you're painting, here's what I'm saying. The way you're framing this is as if women, most women are like the women who you have experienced. You see what I'm saying? Like you think that, right? Like that's what you're saying, essentially.
No, I'm saying that that's my experience and that's all I have to go off of.
So, okay, so let me ask the question again. If you had to take a guess, would you think that most women were like the women you have encountered?
If I had to guess, I
Mhm.
would say that most women are probably going to look at what I'm saying from their lens of their experience.
But can you answer my question though? Because I think the way that I framed it was the way I wanted it to be answered. Do you think that most women are like the women who you have encountered thus far? Yes or no?
I really don't know how to answer that question.
That's a super easy question because you don't know most women. So you could easily just go, yeah, I think most women are like the women that I've met, or no, I don't think most women are like the women that I've met. Super easy. That's confusing.
Well, I feel like you're trying to paint me into a corner here because I don't want to make assumptions based on an incomplete set of data.
This idea that we can, like, in no other discussion would this conversation make sense the way that you're trying to have it.
What are you talking
It's
about?
so crazy. So you do not live your life based solely on the things you have experienced, right? Like, for an example, riding a skateboard is dangerous. And I know a lot of people don't, especially skateboarders, they don't like to wear helmets, and that's on them. I think they're crazy. But scientifically proven, skateboarding is dangerous, right? So, but you're a skateboarder, let's say. You skateboard without a helmet. That, if I asked you, do you think that skateboarding is dangerous enough to wear a helmet? You would say no, right? I'm saying, and this is how you sound to me. You sound like a skateboarder who doesn't want to wear a helmet. And you're like, nah, skateboarding ain't that dangerous because I've never been injured while I was skateboarding, or I've barely been injured. I've never hit my head while skateboarding, right? But but you know what I'm saying? The scores of other people that have hit their heads or seen people hit their heads and have broken bones, and the science and everything else is saying the contrary. And then when I ask you, okay, based on all the everybody else's, the collective experiences of everybody else, do you still think that your personal experience represents the overall experience of skateboarders? And you're saying, well, I don't want to generalize. Like, what? It's perfectly okay to generalize. Like you are making yourself, you're at that point, you're making yourself unsafe by not listening to everybody around you. That's what I'm saying. You're making yourself look inauthentic by saying, oh, I only am going to go off of my personal experiences, when you only know a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of people. You know what I'm saying?
But even in the context of the skateboarding example, like
Mm-hmm.
there's different ways to ride a skateboard that have different levels of danger, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
you could ride it down the sidewalk at a slow pace,
Mm-hmm.
and that would probably be fine without a helmet, right?
No,
But why not?
because you're on four wheels, and being on four wheels is unpredictable and anything can happen. So no matter how you're riding it, would you be safer with the helmet on or without the helmet on? If you're riding on one knee like I used to do when I was 4, or if you're standing up, kick pushing like Lupe Fiasco, a helmet would be the best option in both cases. Am I correct?
If you're just strictly talking about superlative, like safer, then
Yes,
yes.
exactly. That's my point. So no matter what, the helmet is safer. No matter how you slice it. It doesn't matter how you ride it. It doesn't matter what time of day you ride. Doesn't matter. The helmet is safer based on science, based on you seeing your friends hit their heads on. Like, yeah. And you're in a room full of people saying, I've hit my head, I've hit my head, I've hit my head. And then and then they're listening to you going, yeah, no, riding a skateboard is completely safe and you don't need a helmet. That's my experience though. You see what I'm saying? Like, it just, you gotta get, like, I'm just saying, like, if you, in no other situation, would your approach make sense? You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't make sense now either to me, but I'm saying in any other way, it would make sense. Like, in what situation would the way you're talking about this make sense to anybody? Like, because you've experienced this, then you are acting like you can't then, like, look past your own experiences and look at the collective experience.
So
Right?
you're saying it's objectively true that women are more supportive and more empathetic in all cases.
It's objectively true. It is also scientifically proven that women listen better than men. They listen more than men. It's also scientifically proven that women pay attention to men more, like our body, expressions and our facial expressions and whatnot. Yeah, these, you know what I'm saying? On top of things that beyond what I've experienced, this is science also supports it. You see what I'm saying? So that's what I mean. So when you say that women like And also, lastly, objectively, why would men, as a society, why are men leaving the child rearing duties to the mothers if the mothers
Well,
aren't the more nurturing group?
no, and I think that's wrong too. I think that there should be an equal split in household duties between men and women.
I know, I agree that there should be, but with the state of men right now, I don't disagree that women should be more in charge of the kids because most men lack empathy. You see what I'm saying? Most men aren't nurturing. And it's not a natural thing. I think we are naturally nurturing humans. Generally speaking, I think most humans have the capacity to be very nurturing, right? But men
Right.
strip other men of their humanity when they're children. They strip our humanity away from us as soon as we come out the womb. The same way they strip women's humanity from them. It ends up looking different though.
Right. And all I would say is, because I have a feeling this is reaching its conclusion. But my earliest point, that there are plenty of women, individual women, I'm not saying women in general, but individual women who participate in benefit from the patriarchy. I don't think that we can disagree with that. I think it's a lot deeper than this very simplistic men versus women, black versus white, all this kind of stuff. I think that intersectionality is critical. I think that we have to look at it in terms of class first, but I think that ultimately my
When you say that, what do you mean?
I mean that the economy is ultimately going to determine your place in the world, and it's ultimately going to determine how you experience the world around you, right? Like if you're born into a highly wealthy family and you just so happen to be African American, you're going to have a different experience than an African American person born in the inner city, right?
But as a highly, but when it so but that black person compared to his white or her white counterpart is going to have a completely different experience. So race will always play a
Right, but
huge role.
that's why intersectionality is important, because it's all part of it's all part of it, right?
Yeah, but in this particular case, the problem is that men, no matter what their race is and no matter what their class is, they side with misogyny. They side with the patriarchy. And it's one of the most amazing things that I've ever noticed in my entire life. I can't even begin to tell you how amazing it is to notice it as a man and see. I was in a live last night or the night before. I think it was last night, and I'm on a panel, and it was a young black man, another young black man, and it was an old racist white T man up there. But they all were in agreement with each other because they all were extremely misogynistic, right? And where you will find, when you talk about intersectionality, I got some intersectionality for that ass. Where you will find poor black men, wealthy white men, middle class Asian men, so on and so forth, congregating, you will find them congregating in the room of the patriarchy, in the room of misogyny. We all, no matter how rich or poor you are, all groups of men are extremely misogynistic. Every single group of men. Every single group of men. Like black people, we can't be racist, right? Like in the way that the system is set up, we can't be racist, right? It's not racism. At worst is prejudice or something like that. But it's not, we can't actually exercise anything. If I don't like you because you're a white T person, your life isn't going to change at all. I can't weaponize the system against you. I have I have little to no systemic power whatsoever, right? So black people, I don't even want to hear black people can be racist, but that is like what it's like being you know what I mean? Like that's what it's like. There's no, like, they don't have any power systemically. They don't have any economic power. They don't really have much social capital or anything like that. Like men shape the world, right? So when we have these conversations, you just see a bunch of men coming together to protect the patriarchy. Poor men protect the patriarchy, as well as wealthy men. Poor men, wealthy men, and everybody in between. So class gets thrown out the window as far as I'm concerned, right? Then you want to talk about race. White T men, black men, Asian men, extremely, extremely misogynistic. It gets thrown out the window as well. I'll throw that one out the window too. So it's one of the only things where intersectionality kind of doesn't even show up when you think about it.
I understand.
Because are you going to tell me that wealthy white T men are less misogynistic than poor black men? Absolutely the fuck not. Absolutely not. You're going to tell, you know what I mean? Like, no. And kind of like it's kind of like how racism is too. Like, wealthy white T men are extremely racist, and so are working class and poor white T men and women, right? Extremely racist. But it just looks different.
I think
right?
we're talking about the same thing, just from opposite ends, right? Where like, if like, to use your example, if you're using white men as the example, rich and poor, they're both going to be misogynistic, right?
Yep.
But is it not also the case that white women, or women in general, are going to experience misogyny differently depending on their socioeconomic status? Maybe I'm wrong about that. I'm genuinely asking.
I mean, yeah, possibly. I think white T women. I think women are going to experience. I think it's just going to be on different levels, but I think they're going to experience it the same. We can talk about, since the election is coming up, we can talk about Kamala and Hillary. Not to bring up politics in particular. I don't care who you vote for in this particular instance, but Hillary didn't win, and I think in large part the reason why she didn't win is because she was a woman. So there was a glass ceiling there for a woman, right? Mm-hmm. Now, yeah, she was running for president, so it looks different because it's like, oh, she got to get here, 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 and here. But you can apply that same thing to a woman at a Fortune 500 company too, and say like, oh, well, she moved up, you know what I'm saying, up the rungs, but they won't ever let her get past this. Like, most women don't ever get past this level in corporate America either. See what I'm saying? Most women don't become CEOs. There's not a bunch of female CEOs out there, and historically speaking, there haven't been. See what I'm saying? There haven't been or whatever company. Like, in my field as a car salesman, when I sold cars for years, I never worked with a female manager ever. I've seen them sometimes here and there. I saw a couple of them here and there, but I never had one. And I was at like 5 different stores in my career, maybe 6. Never saw one. Never saw.
And this is another interesting, like, just kind of difference of perspective, right? Because I work in the credit union business.
Nice.
And credit unions are very female dominated. So I have lots of women in our C-suite. There's lots of women who are branch managers. So there's tons of very high-powered, very successful women that I'm around pretty often. So it just,
that's not but you do realize though, like my wife is in education, and that's the same thing for her. But she'll tell you that the men move up faster. Like, even when there are men there, men move up faster, and they get and they've never, like, you're not gonna get denied a promotion because you are a man. That's not gonna happen. Even in your field that's dominated by women, you're not gonna get denied because you are a man. I guarantee you that. But if it was the inverse of that situation, definitely you're getting denied simply because you're a woman.
Right. No, and I understand that.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. So misogyny, it does show up to me, it shows up relatively the same way for men and women. It shows up exactly the same way. Now, racism shows up differently, I think, but I think misogyny pretty much shows up the same way for women, no matter their socioeconomic class. I just think that it just looks different to us. But a promotion is a promotion is a promotion. You see what I'm saying? She was trying to promote to be a president after being a senator or whatever. She didn't get there. Kamala's going to try to make it from a VP to a president. We'll see, right? We hope she gets there or whatever or whoever. But yeah, I just think that misogyny is so prevalent and pervasive that it doesn't matter what class you're in. If you're a woman, you're going to suffer no matter what. Even what, go look at I don't know if you're familiar with the ballerina farm story. She's a multimillionaire. I think
Right.
she's,
Oh yeah, I remember that.
yeah, I think she's extremely oppressed. even as a multimillionaire, I think she's extremely oppressed. I
That
think
one is
I think the oppression that she specifically is suffering from and suffering under is the same oppression that most men wives suffer under. You see what I'm saying? Like it's the same. Labor is labor is labor. She's the one that does
right.
the vast majority of the labor. It might look different to us because she's milking cows and shit like that. I ain't talking about the task, but it's the same. It's the same idea. It's the same concept. It looks almost identical to me.
So I want to touch on that, but let me just address something real quick.
Okay?
I never said I'm oppressed. Okay. I never
I hear you
claimed
say that.
to be oppressed by anything.
Yeah, I never heard you say that.
The way, and again, I'm reading the comments, so my bad. But the way I've thought about it recently is like, as men, we need to go 99.5% toward women, right?
In what way?
Like, in terms of adjusting how we move, think, behave in the world.
Okay. How
It
we
needs to
treat
be
them?
99.5% us changing how we act in order to make things better, right? But there's still that 0.05% where, and this might be a spicy conversation for this live, but the ways in which women uphold the patriarchy,
That's for them to
right?
discuss.
Sure. And
Yeah.
I'm not going to speak on that, but there is still deconstructing to do.
Yeah, but that hurts them. That's why it's for them to like them internalizing misogyny very rarely affects us as men. You see what I'm saying? So I don't even like. It's like
Right.
why
But it
am I even?
perpetuates the same system, does it not?
It does, but that's like once again, it's like reverse racism. It's like, yeah, I get it. Like they're just trying to get in where they fit in too. You know what I'm saying? Like they trying to make it too. They trying to survive too. So yeah, they may adopt some of the, some of the talking points or the whatever the beliefs of the patriarch. Fine, okay, cool. But the vast majority of the time, when women internalize misogyny, it hurts them and it hurts other women. It very rarely hurts us. Very rarely. So
Right. And if the goal is to get rid of patriarchy,
Mhm.
men have 99.5% of the responsibility and women have 0.05% of it.
Also, if we got rid of the patriarchy, they wouldn't be able to internalize it. That's the point. So they don't have to do shit. If women don't lift a finger, the patriarchy could topple tomorrow. Men could topple the patriarchy tomorrow by ourselves. We don't need women to do shit. But women couldn't do it. If it would be I ain't saying they couldn't, it would be fucking hard. Even if women came together and coalesced and yada yada yada, it would be hard. It would be hard for it to happen. Hard.
Why is there the patriarchy?
Why does it exist?
Yeah.
To steal the labor from women and men, essentially. But yeah, women specifically. The same way racism exists to steal the labor of non-white people at this point.
So let me see if I can get here in a respectful way. Because the thought that I'm having is men want what? They want
Power,
power and money.
control, power,
Right. What's
resources.
I guess then what's the solution? Like, do we take away the benefits of having money and power and control? Because historically, one of the benefits of that has been access to women. So
Yeah, I mean, I just got done making a whole video today. I don't think men are going to change until there are like dire consequences for us to change. And that's the messed up part, because only men can not only, but I would prefer the consequences to be implemented, by men. I would
I'm
prefer
really,
we be behind that.
I'm trying so hard to not make this sound like I'm trying to blame women, because that's not what I'm trying to do.
Mm.
What
And
I'm
don't.
trying to do is I'm trying to say men want a certain thing.
Mm.
And for as long as there's women who will reward that, then there will be that dynamic on some level. So
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't want to put the labor on women. I agree to a certain extent that if women were to just not give up any vagina for the next 30 years, that they could bring down the patriarchy. But I also disagree with that notion, because I think men would just take it from them anyway. That's my guess.
I mean, that's probably.
Yeah, there's nothing in my mind that thinks that if women were to start doing that, they wouldn't just like cage women up and just take it from them anyway, right? So that's why I don't even want women to be a part of, I think it has to be men to implement the the punishments. See what I'm saying?
Right.
So yeah, I like I'm a proponent of 4B, right? But I don't. But A, all these movements supposed to be short term. But B, if 4B actually caught fire and it significantly started to, like 20% of women, 30% of women started to, hey man, you already saw what happened with the overturning of Roe v. Wade. Like we would go back to, the stone, like we would go back to when like women were getting stoned for like showing an ankle, and women, it would be one vote per house instead of everybody gets a chance to vote, and women can't drive. Like we would go back to that, like they're trying to do that right now, right? And,
Right.
and women are just, they have like a little bit more autonomy than they did 50 years ago. Just a little bit more autonomy. They're a little bit freer. And they're already like scrambling, like, oh man, let's get rid of no fault divorces. Let's take away their bodily autonomy. Right? Next is gonna be women can't go to college, women can't work jobs. Like it's like that's how it's gonna go. And ultimately it's just gonna leave women like, like that's what I think. I don't see, like with the way men are and how tyrannical, you know what I'm saying, and how far right or whatever, and how authoritative our country is and most other countries are. Like I'm not seeing it working out well for women in that regard. The same way I don't see it working out that well for black people. Like if black people were trying to do that, they would just put us in cages and we would just go back to, you know what I'm saying? Like it would just be like open warfare on us. I honestly believe that. So I think the only people that really can topple the system without, with the lowest amount of casualties would be men, and I think it should be us. I hate asking women to lift a finger to deconstruct or to destroy a system that men created. It seems unfair, and it's not to say they won't try. They'll do what they'll do what they can do. But I'm just saying I think we got to do the vast majority of the work. That's it. Like yeah, whatever women can do. It's just, what I'm saying? It's just a little, whatever they can do, I'm with it. Just do whatever you can do, but stay safe. That's my that's my thing to women is like, do whatever you can do, but stay safe, because I don't trust men in this regard. Like there's no doubt in my mind that men would flip a switch and it would be Gilead. You know what I mean? Like it would be Handmaid's Tale tomorrow.
Right.
There's nothing. And it also, as a black person, that scares me because there ain't no black people in Gilead. You know what I'm saying? Like they don't have a place for us. So.
Ooh, good point. So, because I want to touch on that. And again, there's going to be a bunch of.
Oh, hold on. Let me read the super chat real quick, Alex. Also said, it's not he's talking to you. She said, it's not about you. It's not about you, sir. Women don't talk like that. If you're serious about unpacking your misogyny, start by being honest. Women listen and men demean. She got a good point. That's what I thought. That's what I was thinking.
Again, I'm just trying to share in my very recent experience. That's not what
you came across. I got you.
So,
but go ahead, finish your statement.
What the hell was I saying?
I don't know.
Damn.
Sorry.
Lost it.
Should have made you write it down. My fault. The ADHD is brutal for me too. Somebody said Gilead wouldn't work. For who?
Oh, there we go. That reminded me. So this is something I've been thinking about, and again, I'm going to get a bunch of poor white man tears comments, but I wonder, as someone who wants to be a part of this new world that we want to build that's separate from patriarchy and racism and sexism and all this stuff, like it's hard sometimes. It feels like, where where is my place in that, right?
Mhm. Super easy.
Like, and maybe it is easy and I just don't see it, but
What do you where do you see yourself in it? If you just where do you want to be in it?
I mean, I'd like to just think that I can just be a person,
Hmm. Which would
but
make you ultimately treat everybody else as people, right?
right. And I know, I mean, I can only speak for myself, but I feel like I try to do that.
Yeah, but that's I mean there if every man did that, then it's over. There you go.
Right. But as a man who doesn't necessarily have the ability to influence other men, like if I was going to go and try to tell strangers on the street the same things you're telling me, they just tell me to fuck off and stop being a pussy, right? Like most men
But I
don't
thought
want
you
to hear
said
it.
men listen though. I thought you said men are empathetic, and those are the men
But,
I know of. The men you just described. That's what I know of men.
right, but
But
I don't associate with those people.
I know, but that's the majority of men. That's what I'm saying. The men that see what I'm saying? You don't associate with those men, but you know that that's how men would act. How? Because that's how men act when you tell them stuff that they don't want to hear. That's what I'm saying. You know that. I know that. And men don't give a about what you think. Men don't care about your feelings. Men don't care about what you the knuckle up and the man up and all of that stuff. Men started all of that stuff. So what makes me think all of a sudden women are the ones who have a hard time hearing what a man has to say, and they gonna get out the smallest violin and play it for you and so on and so forth. Like, nah, I'm not buying into that. I think most men are exactly the way you just described those strange men to be. The strangers on the street, that's how most men act. Even the ones that know you. When you talk about things that aren't interesting to them or things where they can't, interject themselves into the conversation and make it about themselves in somehow, some way. When you're talking to them, especially when you're talking to them about them taking accountability for stuff, that's how they're going to react. 99% of the time, that's how men are going to react. This is what it is. But you can have that conversation with women, though. Individually, I don't have that conversation with women as a whole because, like I've been saying, what the fuck can I tell women? Right? It's weird. It's weird as a man to try to tell women, like, you guys really need to unpack your misogyny, your internalized misogyny. Like, y'all can down that hill if you want to. It ain't gonna be me. I don't even waste time talking to them about that.
Well, yeah, no, I'm not out here telling people to do anything because I'm not anybody's dad. But uh, ultimately, and I don't know, man. I guess because again, I don't know. Maybe I should just because it's hard because now all I want to do is just be quiet because apparently sharing what I genuinely think is getting me nowhere with the majority of people. So I mean, I don't know what to do. And honestly,
Do you
I
think you're
just
misogynistic? Do you think you're misogynistic?
I don't think I'm any more misogynistic than the kind of like baseline for an American, right?
So you're misogynistic.
Sure.
Yeah, the baseline for an American is extremely high. The average American man is extremely misogynistic, like dangerously misogynistic. The average American man is a danger to the average American woman, I believe.
So what would you recommend for me?
Um, my hard pill is, first and foremost, we got to stop lying to ourselves. Next step is to listen to women. Um, like really listen to them, hear what they're saying, and not necessarily going out of your way to ask them, like, like, hey, what do you think? And like, not that. Just listen to them. They're talking about it all the time. Lives, whatever, books, whatever you got to do, studies. There's a bunch of things that will tell you the truth about what's going on. But you have to want to be better, though. You know what I'm saying? Like you definitely have to want to be better, and maybe ask people. You can ask women. How you can improve it if you want to. Yeah. Somebody said therapy. After I read, hey man, I don't think every man needs to go to therapy, and here's why. Because when men who are like utterly opposed to growing goes to therapy, they listen. This is documented what men do. These men, listen to what I'm saying. When men are utterly opposed to going to therapy, they just take the language of therapy and weaponize it against women. So I'm not in that. People just say therapy as if it's like the pill, that magical pill that's gonna cure everything. Like, nah, I'm not on that type of time. Maybe therapy is good for Alex. I don't know, but since I know a lot of men will do that, I don't just arbitrarily say go to therapy, right? Because I think there are steps that they need to take before that, so that by the time they go to therapy, they're not going there with the frame of mind of like, I'm just going here so I don't get fined. And then they listen to they listen to what the therapist is saying to them. And then they learn gaslighting, projection, and whatever other terms that are being used. And then they go and try to manipulate their spouse. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what I'm saying, or women in their lives, or whatever the case may be. Right. Also, it's some men will use it as like a box to check off, because yeah, I go to therapy. But if you're going to therapy and you're lying to the therapist, then what use is it? Which a lot of motherfuckers do. So you can prove, yeah, I go to therapy. Look at my therapist card. It's got so many holes punched in it. I've been going to therapy for weeks, for months, for years. But if you're actively trying not for, if you're actively working against it helping you, then what the fuck? What is it gonna do? That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm just not there. Like, I know that's in 2024. Like, everybody just therapy. Like, trust me, I'm with it. I'm not against it. I'm not one of those people that's like, you don't need therapy. You need therapy eventually. At some point in time, I do think therapy is helpful. But when I don't know a person, when I don't know a man specifically, I try really, really hard not to be on some like, just go to therapy. Hell no. I refuse.
I've tried therapy so many times, and to be honest with you, this is my take at this point. I think most young men, 18 to 35-ish men, don't need a therapist. They need a mentor. They need a older man in their life that ideally would be less, inclined toward patriarchal perspectives, that could guide them how to actually be a person. Because a lot of what therapy is, in my experience, is just like emotional processing. But and they need that, and that's something that a mentor could give them. But a lot of the guys in my kind of age cohort don't know how to be a person. They don't know how to, take care of themselves.
If you are.
And a lot of times the quote unquote depression that they feel is not because they don't know how to process their emotions, is because their life is genuinely not very good, because they're not connected to community, they're not taking care of their hygiene, They're not doing anything that would indicate that they love themselves.
Hmm. They
So,
also aren't making much money because the economy is messed up. And they refuse to go after the oligarchs and the people that actually are messing up the economy.
correct.
So they punch down on women. They use women as the punching bags. They use children as punching bags, unfortunately.
Like, here's a good question. What would you say would be an example of like a healthy masculinity?
I I believe the healthiest masculinity is no masculinity at all.
See, but doesn't that seem counterintuitive?
Not
Wouldn't
even a
we
little
want to
bit.
have, so we should all just be as feminine as we can?
No, I don't believe in either concept. But
Okay.
out of the two, yeah, fuck yeah, let's be feminine. I'm trying to I'm trying to feminize myself more and more every day. Just through doing little shit. I'm trying to be more and more feminine every day. Like that's my goal. Like every single
If
day.
your if your thing is we're getting rid of this whole masculine feminine dichotomy and we're just going to be human beings, then I can get on board with that.
Yeah. But I'm saying if I had to choose one, if I had to choose one to like identify with or like strive to, like actually adopt, it would be femininity. Because I can't think of anything inherently negative about femininity. But everything about masculinity is at best benign, but most of the time it's negative. I don't
Well,
believe in the concept of toxic masculinity. I think all masculinity at this point is toxic. All of it.
the way I've started to think about it is more like masculinity in the right context, because the world can be a scary place, not because of any other person, but just because like nature is scary on its own, right? So you have to protect what you have, right? And that can be simply just like from a defensive position. But if you have something that is worth cherishing, that is maybe, like a sort of a feminine quality of being beautiful, maybe vulnerable, then you have to have something outside of it to protect it, to keep it safe, right? So that's how I see masculinity being like a more and
But
more healthy
masculinity,
dynamic.
but masculinity doesn't protect. Masculinity is the thing that is trying to destroy femininity.
Currently, correct.
Yeah. So it's not a masculine trait to protect. That's a feminine trait, if anything, because the protectors are actually women. Women are more likely to protect women, children, and men. Men are more likely to be the aggressor, the assailant, and the predator. And the men that are there are more likely to be bystanders. Bystanders. So yeah, men are. That's what I mean. There's nothing. Name it. Name the quality that men, because masculinity is literally just characteristics that we can attribute to men in general. That like a lot of men do, right? Like more than women, right? Name it. Name the good thing in masculinity. Name one thing about masculinity that's good that most men do. Not the idea, not what you think men should be doing, but like what men actually do.
Well, I don't know if I can name anything off the top of my head,
Yeah.
but I guess what I'm saying is that there are a lot of men that identify as masculine. So are
They
we
don't know
just
what
going to tell
masculinity is.
them
Yeah.
they got to knock it off?
Most men don't know. Most men are so undereducated. They don't know the majority of these. They don't know what they mean. They don't even know what it means. They haven't even thought about it. And you know how I know this? I have hundreds of hours of me asking men about masculinity, like just these general concepts. They do not have a freaking clue of what it means. None. No man that actually adheres to masculinity has ever been able to articulate what masculinity is. And, like honestly, like in a real way, like where it's objectively true, right? Whereas conversely, men who don't believe in masculinity, men like me, we like men that I talk to, like I talk to like Fatal, like people on here like Fatal and Jay and like Bama, Alabama fella. Like when I talk to
Mhm.
those dudes, yeah, they're like, yeah, masculinity is stupid, but here's what masculinity is, and we all know that. Like when you understand what masculinity is, you don't want to identify as masculine. That's what I'm saying. When you actually look at the state of men, you want, as a man, you want to distance yourself from that shit. You don't want to be a part of it. You're like, oh no, I'm good. I like, what's over there? Oh, femininity. Well, what are they? Nurturing, empathetic, brave, care, like nice,
I
consistent,
think I think
honest. Yeah, I'm
historically,
going over there.
depending on who you ask, I think bravery might be more associated with, in general, I'm not saying any particular man, but like if somebody
Men are
were
the
to ask in the abstract,
men are
is
the biggest cowards. I just told you, men are
oh,
the ones that are least likely to protect women and children from harm.
I'm not talking, but we're talking about masculine versus feminine in terms of like the associations that we have
You
within
miss what I,
language.
but you miss what I said though. Here's the problem with masculinity and femininity. People, but mainly men. Men say this is what masculinity should be, and they cherry pick stuff that they just want to associate with masculinity, right?
Mm-hmm.
When they tell me that, and then I look out and I have to put that up against what men actually do, and the shit never matches. You see what I'm saying? That's the
No, I
problem.
feel that.
So yeah, I get what men think masculinity is. I do. But what actually is masculine? Like, how do men actually exhibit it on a day to day? Violence, neglect, abuse. You know what I'm saying? These are the things that I see associated with masculinity,
Right.
right? Predatory behavior, um, greed, gluttony. That's what I see when it comes to masculinity. So I'm like, nah, I'm good. I'm good. Y'all got it. You
Right.
can have it. I
And
bow out.
again, I think this is to go back to initially why I jumped in or why you called me up is like when we have these types of conversations and we just put all of the negative attributes into the misogyny bucket, whether or not it's valid, it leads men to just the initial reaction is, oh, well, you're saying I'm all of these things.
But that's if most men are those things though. That's the problem. Most men are or have a high propensity to be those things. The sooner you, that's what I was saying earlier when you asked me how do we get, we got to stop lying to ourselves. We have to start taking accountability immediately. We have to do it. The longer we keep playing this game, this woe is me oppression. This is when people talk about the oppression Olympics. This would be indicative of that. Like oh no, it's not man, not all men and all men, bro. Let's just make it easy, all men. Let's just cut to the because there's far too many men for us to differentiate between the good and the bad men. The vast majority of men are bad, right? The vast majority of men are bad to women, specifically to women, to children, right? The vast majority. So like, what am I doing here? Why am I, like, I'm not about to sit here and like, oh, well, you're not as bad and you're bad. You're bad. Not every man is extremely violent. Not every man is knocking a woman's head between the washer and dryer. Not every man is cheating. I agree with all of those things. I agree. But the vast majority of men are doing some version of that, and or has done that to a woman or multiple women and or children. Almost every man. So it's us. We're the problem. And the sooner it's freeing to accept it. That's what I'm trying to help men understand. You become more free when you accept it. You fighting it is the thing that's causing the damage. You're holding on to the rope and it's like messing up your hand. You just gotta let it go. Just let it go. You're good. There's no need for you to even fight it. It's over. We lost that fight. we are who they say we are. I'm not
No,
mad
and
at it.
I don't even disagree with that. Where I'm coming from is because, again, like you're saying, if we're just getting rid of the whole idea of differentiating between masculine and feminine, and we're just saying masculinity is what we're calling all the bad attributes, and we're just going to get rid of that.
I think you're thinking about it backwards. It's not that I'm saying that that's like I'm not afterwards applying all the bad things to masculinity. I'm saying that what men actually do are the bad things. Therefore, it is masculine because that's what masculinity is. I'm not just arbitrarily applying bad things to. That's what men do for women. Everything women do that men don't like. Or I'm sorry, that's what men do that to men. Men do that to men, right? So if you do something that a man doesn't like, he says you're gay, which is feminine, which is a woman, right? Connected to women. Every whatever we do, it's oh, stop acting like a woman. Everything negative, oh, you're jealous, oh, that's a female trait. Oh, you're this, that's a woman's trait. Oh, you're that, that's what men do. That's what we do to women. That's what we do to femininity. We just apply everything negative to femininity, but then when you examine it, you're like, well, that's not jealousy.
Well,
like you're telling me like women are more jealous than men. Get the fuck out of here.
what I'm more honing in on is how you're saying masculinity doesn't even exist in a healthy context.
It doesn't exist at all. That's the thing. It's not a real thing. That's what I've been trying to tell you. Like race isn't a real thing. We literally could just do away with race. If we did away with race and gender tomorrow, do you think the world will become better or worse?
I'm trying to think about what that would even look like.
It would look like a world that is genderless, and it would look like a world. So you talk about class, right? Race and class are inextricably linked, correct? And it's around the world, but in this country specifically, right?
Right.
Okay. So imagine if you got rid of race, wouldn't that also make it easier for everybody to ascend and not be on the bottom? If you can't oppress people due to their race, because race isn't the thing anymore, then it's harder to oppress people, right? Whole groups of people. Maybe you can oppress people based on their hair pattern now, or their eye color, or whatever the case may be. But it's way hard to oppress people when you get rid of racism. It's very, very hard to oppress people when you get rid of genders, and you're not judging a person because they're feminine presenting or masculine presenting or somewhere in between, right?
Can I bring up a really stupid analogy?
Give me 1 second. Yeah, keep the analogy. I got to read these 2 super chats. Suffuge said that would be like asking black people to end racism. That's going back to what we were talking about ending the patriarchy. It's like asking black people to end racism. It's tough. It's a tough sell. Osa said, just be a decent human being. Why all the mental gymnastics? If every man decided today to do the bare minimum of being decent, could save women's lives. Exactly. It ain't even that much. If we just started treating women like human beings, the world would look. Unicorns would start to come. We would see unicorns and leprechauns, and there would be like gold at the end of rainbows and shit. Like the world would look completely different. It would look like a kid's drawing of a utopia. If men just started treating women like human beings tomorrow, it would look like that within a week. The water will become cleaner. The air would be more clean. The food would taste better. Like I don't think people understand how misogyny is linked to a lot of the destruction of the world. You know what I'm saying? Like it's very much, the patriarchy is responsible for a lot of the destruction, the way the food is grown, and all of that is linked to the patriarchy. I promise you, all of it is. Racism linked to the patriarchy, all of it. It all functions underneath that umbrella. But go ahead, brother.
You know what? Again, you told me not to read the comments. I'm still reading the comments. It's getting really hostile. So I want to ask your audience if they think we should continue to engage with people that we don't agree with.
Oh, I would guess they would say yes. That's why they're here. Because that's all I do is engage with people. I try my hardest to solely engage with people that disagree. I don't really.
That's all I'm doing here. I'm trying to be as respectful as possible while still sharing my genuine opinions. So
Yeah, you're not. Trust me, bro. If you were really bad, they would have already dropped you. So you're not that bad. You know what I mean? But I think the thing that's frustrating in this conversation is it seems like you have the emotional intelligence and, and just the regular intelligence to understand everything that I'm saying, but yet you're still like actively fighting against it. To Osa's point, when she mentioned the mental gymnastics, right? The cognitive dissonance is still there.
Okay, but explain that more.
Like when I say the things that I say, you will say like, "Oh, I agree," and then you say "but," and I'm like, "But there shouldn't be a but after that." So it seems like for with you, you're more frustrating than the more ignorant men, because you seem like you should easily get this. You seem like we should be on the step like 4 or 5 with you, but we're still stuck at number 1. See what I'm saying? We still haven't gotten over number 1. And I think that is a little bit frustrating listening to you, because like I said, you're likable and we like your delivery and your temperament, all of that stuff, but it's just like, you're just like, nope, I got to figure out a way to weasel out of it. I'm still mad at women for whatever, because ultimately that's what I'm getting from what you're saying. Like that's the vibe I get from you in general. It's just you're upset with women for whatever reason. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
I don't
really?
Oh. Yeah, you sound like you're upset with women, and I think that a lot of that comes from your entitlement as a man. Right? So because that's what you've been saying this whole time. Yeah, like it's unfair. Or I don't like how they put me, how they lump me in with all of these other men. Why? Do you feel like you're entitled to their trust or their acceptance? Because I don't. And maybe that's why I don't get upset. I think that's why I don't get upset, because I don't feel like they owe me shit. I don't care how good of a man I think I am. They don't owe me shit. So I don't get mad at any woman that treats me like an op or whatever the case may be. It is what it is. I would rather, like I said initially, I would rather them be protected and them feel safe than me feel like I'm comfortable, being the person that I am, right? Because I'm comfortable. You know what I'm saying? And I know, and understanding the history of man and understanding the current state of man, I'm perfectly okay with women being weary of me. Even now, no matter, I don't care how much work I do in these spaces, there's always going to be a large subset of women that are like, I don't trust him because he's a man. And I'm okay with that. I'm perfectly fine with that.
Well, and I don't know. I hesitate to even bring this up because, I'm trying not to.
Bring
I'm
it
really
up.
not trying to make this all about me.
It's okay.
But,
it is about you right now, though. We're talking about you. It's okay.
like, my mom and my sister are both very conservative.
Mm-hmm.
So the women in my life are saying a lot of the opposite things that you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
So that's very confusing.
Is it, you brought up intersectionality, so you don't understand how 2 white T women would uphold the patriarchy. You don't know why they would have an inherent bias when it comes to the patriarchy, even as women. Because in the hierarchy of the patriarchy, they still rank higher than black men and black women and Latino men and Latino women and Asian men and so on and so forth. In so many ways, not in every way with the Asian men, but definitely pretty much everybody else but white T men, white women are beneath them. So of course they want to uphold the patriarchy. There is a demographic of white T women that want to uphold the patriarchy, because the patriarchy, like I told you, the patriarchy and racism are linked. Mm-hmm. So not only do they benefit from being white, they benefit from being white, not being women. See what I'm saying? They benefit from being white, not being women. But since the patriarchy and racism are linked, they're going to uphold both systems. So it shouldn't be that confusing once you look at it through that lens. What they're upholding is racism. Really, at the end of the day, they're not really upholding the patriarchy. What they're upholding is racism, ultimately.
See, and this is why I engage, because I don't know if I ever would have thought about it that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you're in it, bro, if you're born in it, there's no way you're going to see that. You know what I'm saying? That's a tough thing to see when you're in it with them. You know what I mean? You're looking at it like man and woman, and you're not seeing like, what the fuck? Why would a woman ever support this system that is bad for them, right? But You know, when you look at it through that, like, oh wow, okay, yeah, because racism was built on top of the patriarchy. The patriarchy was built first; it was the foundation, and then racism was built on top of it, and you know, capitalism and so on and so on. And all the other systems of oppression were kind of built on top of it.
Gotcha.
So that's the part. That's the intersectionality that I think more white T people need to understand, right? I love that you use that word though, because a lot of white T men don't understand intersectionality whatsoever. So I commend you for even just knowing that much about it. You know what I mean? Like that's a good step. And I think that's why right now it's easier for you to understand or process what's going on, because you do have like some knowledge of what intersectionality is. You know what I mean? So you're already doing some of the work. You know what I mean? You're already doing some of it. You know, you're getting there.
I'm never going to see my own blind spots until somebody shows them to me.
You won't. Impossible. It's impossible. You know what? It's either that, or you can also see them when it happens to other people. You know what I mean? Like I see that all the time. Like I see like I'm like I'll be like talking to somebody about something and I'll be like, oh shit, that's me. You know, like it happens with me. I have those aha moments often, especially in these spaces with these conversations that I'm having with men. I'm constantly having aha moments for myself. Like I don't say it out loud while it's happening, but trust me, like once it's done, like once that conversation is over with, I'm definitely like clocking it for myself. Like, oh yeah, nah, that's you. Like you do that. You know what I mean? Like you're definitely that guy, you know? So yeah. And I try to, and also like, I want you to understand, like in having this conversation, like I am also a part of the drama. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm a part of the problem too. You know what I mean? I'm definitely a part of the problem, right? Now I'm trying not to be, but I still am, right? And I've contributed to it. So whether or not, even if I've changed completely, whatever, I still contributed to it. I've still upheld it before the patriarchy or whatever. You know what I mean? And when I uphold, and as a black man, it is extra infuriating for me because the last thing for me to unlearn was misogyny, and it's proving to be the true monster. It's proven to be like the ultimate final boss as a man. Like race. I clocked race when I was 10 years old. Like that's done. Right? Capitalism, 25 years old, been over it, blew past it. Religion, unpacked it when I was 25, 24, 25, whatever, right? Easy peasy lemon squeeze. It took about a year or two, whatever. This right here, this is a beast. This is a monster. Like this monkey is on my back. It's whooping me. So like it be whooping me still. And I'm like, wow, man, like, this is crazy. It's really, really, really ingrained. It's really, really ingrained. Right? Yeah, exactly. It's pervasive as fuck. It's very pervasive. You know what I'm saying? So I know and as a white T man, I can only imagine how pervasive it is and can be for you. I can only imagine it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Again, I'm trying really hard not to pat myself too hard on the back, but
Don't.
I think
Don't pat yourself. That's step number 18 in my path to. No, I'm just playing. But yeah, no, don't ever pat yourself in the back. It doesn't help, because whatever good you would do, you should be doing it anyway. You know what I'm saying? Like whatever you
that was
would
a joke.
do. I know. I'm just in general though. But it's just tough though, because I do think a lot of men do look for cookies. You know what I'm saying? And like, so don't ever look for a cookie. It's okay. But go ahead. I'm sorry. I interrupted you.
No, you're good. What the hell was I gonna say? I don't know. I think. Well, let me do this. I've talked long enough. You should get another guest up here.
It's fine.
You give me a lot to talk or think about.
Mm-hmm.
Probably gonna journal for a little bit tonight.
That's good, man. I don't journal, but I probably should. I just talked to my wife.
Also, you did earn yourself a follow. So,
oh man, I appreciate that, Alex. Shout out to Alex, man. We can't get up to 1,000 likes, but I got a follow. I love that. I'll take the follow anyway. That's good. I love it.
And you know, if I'm a little pedantic, just remember I'm a philosophy major, so um, I just like to argue.
No, you're
But
good. Hey, how old are you, by the way, Alex?
I just turned 27.
Okay, so you're not young and you're not old.
Yeah,
You're old enough to understand what we're talking about, but young enough to know like there's a lot more. You got a lot of life. You got a lot of life ahead of you. So
as a Hosier would say, I'm in my mid youth crisis.
mid youth crisis. Hey man, it's tough in America. I ain't gonna even hold you, man. It's tough in America for white men right now. Right? Y'all not oppressed or nothing like that, but it's definitely tough when you see people when you've been so entitled for so long. And this is like in your epigenetics. This ain't even like this may not even be your story because you could say, well, I was poor and whatever. But your granny, your great granny, your great great grandma, grandpa, whatever. It wasn't like that for them. And it's tough when you see people starting to get like marginalized groups of people starting to get autonomy. It's tough, right? Like you're programmed to have a reaction. You're programmed to be resistant. You're programmed the same way I'm programmed as a man to be resistant when women get autonomy. White T men are programmed to be resistant when black people and black men and black women, black women, when you act when you're misogynistic towards black men, that is what people would call misogynoir, right? Are you
Mm.
familiar with that term?
Yeah, there's a TikTok video that I saw. I don't remember who the creator was, but it was like a it's like a bunch of dumb drawings, and it was like black man experience oppression, black woman experience oppression,
Let me,
black woman oppression different.
yeah,
Like so,
I
yeah, I
know
remember
that
that one.
creator. Yeah, I follow him. That was a Christian Dane, I think, who did that.
Yeah,
Christian.
with the what is it? Like oppression's like a Swiss Army knife.
Yep. Well, he
Yeah,
stole that from. I think he stole that from. What's her name? I think he stole that from. What's her name? You guys know the woman that. Oh man, why am I? What's the woman's name that wrote the A Will to Change?
bell hooks.
Bell Hooks. He stole that from Bell Hooks. Yeah.
Um, yeah,
Mhm.
no, that's like my whenever I forget, I'm like, what exactly does that word mean again? That's the video that I go
But
back to.
that's exact great. That's what. See, they can. I hope they never get rid of TikTok. Hey man, you got somebody, you got a fan over there said, I'm proud of Alex. See, man, the comments love you, bro. When when they see growth, they like it. But when you're not growing, they don't like it. They gonna light you up. But we bring it back shame over here, man. So don't worry about it. Over here, you gonna get shamed. It's not just a part of it. It's part of it. We all get it. I've been shamed before. We all get it, brother. I get shamed on my own panel. Yeah, on my own lives. It happens. And we all. It's all love, though. We all, we love to see growth. That's all it is.
Hey, well, and oh, the one other thing I was gonna say is, I think as men, something that we all could do better at
Mhm.
is there was a quote that I heard something about like it's really hard to not get defensive when you feel attacked.
Mhm.
And I think the question is, how do we not feel attacked?
By decentering yourself.
Hmm.
That's why I don't get offended. I get attacked all the time. But I know that because it goes like this. If somebody says something about you and it's true, then it's true. Then eat it. If they say something about you and it's not true, why be offended? Because it's not true. And if you're saying something about me that isn't true, then I know that it's not me that you're actually mad at. It's probably you. You're really upset with
Right.
yourself, or it's misplaced anger to say the least, right? So I'm good with that. Like, yeah, you can say whatever. You attack me, you say something about me. That's not true. I don't get defensive. But if it's
Yeah.
true, oh damn, I never thought about that. Here we go. Now I'm learning. Damn, I didn't know that. Thanks for pointing that out to me.
I am comfy now.
All right, man. I'm gonna bring up some new people. I appreciate you coming up, bro. Come up
Oh
anytime.
yeah,
I would love to
for
talk to
sure.
you in like
I'll
a
be back.
month. I would love to talk to you in like 30 days. That'd be fun.
Let me do this. I'm gonna read The Will to Change front to back, and then I'm gonna come back.